Joining me now is Nationals Senator Matt Canavan. Senator, thanks for your time. How serious is this threat?
Well, it's no longer a threat here, Matt. It was only last week we rushed through this legislation unnecessarily before Christmas, and the coalition, the Liberal and National parties, were warning that this massive new bits of regulation could have a chilling effect on investment. And then within a week, we've had confirmation of that. There are $1 billion project now has been paused here in Queensland. This could have delivered 60 petajoules of gas a year, which is more than 10% of Eastern Australia's demand, domestic demand for gas. Would have been a huge project, would have created hundreds of jobs. But those jobs have been lost now because this government has overreacted and acted in a ham-fisted way in imposing some of the most ridiculous energy regulations we've seen anywhere in the world. I mean, no business can invest billions of dollars when the government's sitting behind you saying, hey, no matter what you do, no matter what you invest, we can come along in the future and change your prices, force you to do business with other businesses. People just won't go into business if those are the terms on which the government wants to try and attract investment in this country. So, look, we all want to express the Christmas spirit, but it's a bit hard to the Labor Party right now, who are taking all these jobs away from Queensland, leaving us with less energy and therefore going to have higher energy prices over time in this country.
Well, the government would probably say it's offering a bit of Christmas spirit to consumers. I mean, isn't it fair enough that it's doing this, given that some of these gas companies are making record profits while consumers are being hit in the hip pocket?
Well, it's a bit like, Matt, it's a bit like racking up all your Christmas presents on a credit card. Then you wake up on January the 1st and realise, oh my God, what have I done? And that's what this government's doing here. So they're saying here, look, we're going to have lower gas prices in the short term, but that's just like borrowing money. It's just like putting on the credit card, because eventually if you do not get investment in new gas and new supplies, going forward, you're going to have higher prices longer term. Now, I'm not even sure these caps are really going to lower prices in any event, because the market is very complex. The business people usually are much savvier than the bureaucrats. They'll probably find ways around the caps. But even if they were to be effective, as I say, they're going to have this effect on investment that we're seeing right now, just a week after this legislation passed. And that is going to mean a lower amount of supply of energy. And when you have the less supply of something, you have a higher price on that thing. So that means there'll be higher energy prices for Australians. So, look, we were united as the Liberal and National parties against this last week. We'll continue to fight against this, because we need to attract new investment if we're going to deliver lower prices for Australians over the long term.
You pointed to the Senex decision today to stall their development in Queensland. Are there any other projects you are aware of, though, that will actually be put on hold because of this price cap?
Well, there are a lot of other projects that are at risk. There's no doubt about that. This new government has called in 18 coal and gas projects that were already approved, ready to go, but they have been put on ice now, waiting for approval. That was before the price caps decision, because they're adding red tape on top of red tape. They did that at the behest of the Environmental Justice Network, a bunch of green activists. That's who is calling the shots for this new Labor government. And so they include coal projects in central Queensland, like the Valeria mine. It's under risk now and possibly not go ahead. It includes, or another project, so I should say, not in that list, but another project that could be at risk is the Narrabri gas project. It could supply half of New South Wales' gas needs, and it is now under question because, again, for the same reason, Senex, will someone invest? Will Santos, in this case, invest hundreds of millions of dollars in this current environment? It's very hard to see that going forward. So, look, it's not too late for the government to move away from this ridiculous regulation. The legislation has passed, but all that did was gave the government power to implement price caps or implement their code long term. They could decide to back away here as a result of the clear impacts, negative impacts of their decisions, and give some relief to Australian energy consumers.
Just want to ask you your thoughts quickly, Senator Canavan, on the resignation today. We've seen Andrew Gee resign from the Nationals over his opposition to an Indigenous voice to Parliament. Was it a mistake by the National Party to lock its members into a vote on the voice to Parliament so early?
Well, the statement you just made is incorrect. There was no locking into a position. Obviously, there was a position taken by the party room. It was one that was overwhelmingly taken. In fact, I believe it's only Mr G that has a different view, or had a different view within the Nationals party room. So that's 20 out of 21. It's a pretty strong decision one way. Of course, in the Nationals party room, we have always had the right for individual members to take a different position, both within the room and publicly as well. And if you're like Matt, I am living proof of that. I have taken some pretty strident views on climate policy. I remain committed against net zero emissions targets, despite the position of my colleagues in the room. And I've done that, and still, they haven't got rid of me. They haven't kicked me out. I'm still a member of the Nationals party room. I, of course, let my colleagues know I was doing that, and I respect their decision. But I still forcefully put forward an alternative view to the Australian public as a Senator for Queensland. Now, there's no reason why Mr G could not have done that as well, just like I have on this issue of the voice. So it's unclear to me why he didn't want to take up that particular pathway, which would have allowed him to stay in the room and still advocate for something he's obviously very passionate about. But look, that's his decision now, and I'm sure we've got a very strong record of the Nationals Party the last 15 years. We have not lost a seat in an election. Lost one here by someone walking out. But Andrew G was elected as a Nationals Party representative. I'm sure many of his voters are disappointed in this move, and I'm sure we'll put a very strong candidate up at the next election for Calare.
Well, Matt Canavan, thanks so much for joining us today, and Merry Christmas to you and your family.